Zergaloo version 3.0. Let's go. Jump up's going to be on the right hand side of the door. TC is going to be in the back left hand corner here. Second floor, very similar. Carried away. This is the jump up. So it's the floor, first two floors of starter. TC goes in this corner here. For the rest of this, I'm going to have symmetry on. You can just put a sheet metal door here, temporarily, for the jump up so no one can get down. And I'm just going to upgrade this all to its final form, just for the purpose of this. Right, we're going to slap on symmetry. We're going to throw a triangle facing outwards on each foundation. And we're going to pick the gap furthest away from the front door. So if the door's on the left, the bit we're going to build onto the right. This is where our bunker's going to be. We're going to build it at 9 foundations. And then we're going to come back with triangles. I'm going to put the first shell floor plan, so it's 1 square on each side. Left side has 2 triangles coming off of it, right side has 1 triangle. And that's the floor plan there for the first shell. But we're going to go out and do our external TCs. We're going to go out 5 foundations, or 5 in total, including that one that we're on. 3 of that's a part of the floor plan, 2 of that's just leading up to the Tokyo gate. Should be 5 in total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent. Then we're going to build out another 4 foundations. And we can delete the up to the Tokyo gate. Then we're going to build our external TC. I'm going to do a roof bunker for this tool cupboard. Sorry, a freehand bunker. We're going to do a freehand bunker for this external. Just like that, easy peasy. Always test your roof bunkers before you upgrade them. There we go. So we can go ahead and upgrade that. Once we place a wall here, see that there's no gap on that side, no gap on the top, that's all perfect. Nothing wrong with that. Place our tool cupboard on this foundation here. Place a window. Seal it up. This is a disconnectable TC, so we'll place 2 half walls. And then we'll add a bit of honeycomb the TC. A bit more tiny comb on the top. Then we'll come over to our Tokyo gate. Needs three. It needs two supporting sides to be able to reach. So make sure this this window here and this frame here is placed. And then test it with a roof. If it works, all fantastic. You can upgrade that to wood or stone. And that build-up's all done. That's all of the externals done. So you open them up with a roof. Chuck a window on there and place a ramp to prevent soft siding. Now going back towards the base. Now we're going to build the third floor. This is going to be the open loot room. So we're going to come out with triangles on each side and then close those up with squares. We're going to pick the opposite side of where our door is and we're going to make that our second exit. Pick two of these to be our jump up. I'm going to do the one closest to this jump up here and on the opposite side of the room. Now we're going to go up and we're going to do our early heli shooting floor. We're going to place a hard wall on the jump up side. And we're going to place our door on the left hand side. We can secure this jump up without needing garage doors. Next, what we want to do is we want to do our first shell. Now our door is going to go on this single triangle here. So you got the left hand side that has a double triangle, right hand side that has the single triangle. The door's going to go on the single triangle. And then we're going to do shooting floor. There's going to be a ramp peak, and make sure you connect this square. You don't connect it to the main base, connect it to the shell. It's going to be a ramp peak going towards the double triangle, and before we place this ramp peak, you need to make sure that you build up frames on that foundation there, because once the ramp peak's down, you won't be able to place those frames, which will lower the stability of the base. So we're going to do one ramp peak leading down to those triangles. The empty square and triangle space connects to the main base. The triangle closest to the ramp peak is a solid floor, but the one next to that is a frame for a ladder hatch. And the rest you just fill in. Seal that up with a fourth layer and pop a roof onto it. Again, attaching the triangle and the square to the main base. Once that's done, you should get this little shuriken looking symbol on the roof. That means you've done it correctly. this off with some ladder hatches and some ladders. This will allow you to quickly get up to first level peaks if needed. And then we can also finish up this turret pod now, or you can do it later. And also pop an extra door to protect the ladder hatch, so that it's harder to take over that. There we go, that's first level peaks done. And we'll continue on to the compound, which is the next step. To secure the compound, we're going to want to finish our Tokyo gates. And on the left-hand side, where the door frame is, you're going to make sure in the middle of these two triangles, you place a floor frame. And then you build up the center of that, ignoring the external triangles. On the wall facing towards the compound, you want to build a window. And then fill that in with embrasures. For the top level, you want to put a window as well as the ones facing inwards towards the compound, as you don't want to get shot through the Tokyo gates into the compound. The ones facing outside of the compound, you can leave without window bars to help defend the base. You can put on 2 doors here, and also a ladder hatch. This ladder hatch can also be used to block raiders once they blow the door, to stop movement through it. As for these Tokyo gates, we'll place a half wall above the ladder hatch. This is still accessible and optional. You just need to crouch when you get to the top of the ladder hatch and jump. You then place a double door at one end and a doorway on the other end. The locker fits neatly behind this doorway. You just have to get the positioning right. You can then place a single door to make this an extra rocket to seal away. Place a bed on the far side of the room. And a sleeping bed or towel on the other side. Place a double door on the ladder hatch side. Probably the other way around. And you can also fit 2 small boxes on the little shelf right above. Place a small box near the window. And make sure you put hammer and ceiling mats in there. In the case of a raid, you take off this window so that you can shoot through the embrasures. We're now going to high wall the base. When you're placing the high wall, line it up between the 2 windows, facing mostly towards the outer window. With the second high wall, have it facing slightly more inwards than the first one. Then, repeat this all the way around. Place some twig wall frames to make placement a bit easier. And on these 2 corners, you can place the floors that you'll need for later. Start by placing the center. move it until it's about halfway across. Then for the other two sides, place them horizontally and pull them all the way out. Then repeat the same thing on the other side. You want to make sure you code lock these boxes so that they can't be looted through the wall. And sometimes if the placement's not good on the boxes, they will kind of just get destroyed. They'll stick out through the wall, and sometimes with a spear you can definitely soft side hit them out, but it's definitely better than leaving it completely blank. For this you want to place a wall and you want to upgrade it to stone. You want to place a floor frame above it while it's stone, connecting to the floor behind it. Just like this. Then upgrade that to metal. When you do this, you want to make sure that you upgrade the wall directly behind the loot room to armored and also flip it around. And do the same for the other walls, so that they can't soft side into the honeycomb and into the loot room. You want to protect the loot room over everything else. You then do the same with the other side. We're not going to use this as a loot room, but it makes it harder to soft side out the bunker. Double check that it works. And then add ramps to prevent soft siding and to remind you of which way it is to open up the bunker. Now it's important that you never place a frame on this part of the foundation or this part of the foundation. If you do that, the bunker won't work anymore. Finish off by adding a bit of honeycomb. You won't be able to place a wall on this slot, so just leave it blank. And that'll give stability to your upper floors. As well as armoring that back wall, also armor the front wall, the foundation, and the two roofs above the loot room. Now let's move on to the next shell. This is the floor plan. So, on the right hand side, you'll have two triangles going out and then a square. On the left hand side, you'll have two triangles going in and then another square. This creates the second shell. Now for this, I like to put shop fronts to help you see out of the base and see your raiders. If you're using shop fronts, make sure you place these two squares before you place the shop fronts, otherwise you won't be able to afterwards if you're flipping them around, and this will be needed to keep the shooting floor frames up. As for the door, you want to place it on the right hand side, right here. Then, the rest you can just wall. As for these 3 walls here, I prefer to keep these stone. This entices raiders to blow through the center of the base, and decreases the amount of damage that your shooting floor frames will take, so they're more likely to stay up during an online. For this outer layer, I'd use garage doors for extra protection, and the shop fronts for extra vision. You want to make sure that they're facing outwards, as shop fronts have no soft side, and their hitbox is smaller on the front side compared to the back side. Gives you a bit more room to move around and place deployables. Now onto the maze of the peaks. They're similar to the inner peaks, except you want to have your ramp peaks on the second shell facing the right hand side. That way when the raiders break through, they've got ramp peaks on the left and right hand side shooting at them, instead of them all just being on the left side. So once again, where the ramp peaks are going to be, you want to make sure you build up a set of wall frames, because you won't be able to do it once the ramps are placed. And then put a ramp peak facing down towards the right hand side. Then the rest of the shell is very similar to how it was before. With this triangle here next to the square being your jump up, and this square here being another ramp peak. Now with this ramp peak, you want to make sure that you place the wall here before you place the ramp, because sometimes you have trouble placing the wall afterwards, and sometimes it's impossible. Now it gets a bit tricky here, so bear with me. You're going to want to place a door frame on this square here with a garage door facing outwards. You want to place a stone wall facing outwards here. You want to place a wall frame on this foundation on both sides, and also a wall frame on this wall here. The rest can be done as walls. Fill the jump ups with ladder hatches. And then you can add a loot room in the corner here. This can be added onto with either 2 more loot rooms, or what I like to do is 2 bedrooms with 1 bed and 1 locker each in them. And then you want to make sure you place doors on these empty wall sockets. Seal up the roof. There you go, I placed that on the wrong side. Alright, now let's start working on shooting floor. I'm going to place 2 triangles and then 2 squares, and the same with the other side. Very easy. This here is going to be a ramp peak. So once again, make sure you place frames before you place the ramp, otherwise you'll have less stability on your base. No fancy ramp peaks on this straight here, but make sure you place a triangle frame on the right hand side first triangle here, and on the second triangle on the left. These will be used as quick mobility to get down into compound. Now for the roof jump up and the extra loot room. You can now upgrade this wall to metal and spin it around. Place another wall, a hut wall, and a window. Use 2 small furnaces for the jump up, and you can cap this off with a roof. We'll be using a horizontal embrasure. And there you have it, ankle biter peak downs for the roof. But let's close this in first, before we get carried away. This back one here is a full wall. Here we are. Place a wall frame here, and then cap this off. Sheet metal double doors used here. So you can defend from your roof with your turret if you really need, but no one can jump in deep on you. Then a garage door on the outer side for maximum protection. Now, before we finish off the roof, let's just take a look at our shooting floor real quick. Now, before you place embrasures on this area here, I suggest you place your ramps. Now, where the jump up is, I like to block some of these off with windows, just to give yourself a little bit of protection so that you don't get shot at. But you can take these off as you need. 2 foundations away from the front door, you want to build a helipad with a bit of honeycomb next to it. And we're going to give this helipad a window so that you can see when it has something in it. Other side though. We'll seal that up, throw a window on it and a garage door. That'll fit 4 large boxes and can be used as a drop room, and that can fit a heli. And we have 4 of these, so that's a total of 16 boxes of drop loot and 4 minis that fit. Now as for this roof here, you can place 2 door frames here, and you can put garage doors on these. So if you want, you can protect your turret a little bit better, but these are completely optional. You could just have your turret out willy-nilly as well. You want to place roofs all around the jump up. And when you get them, these are a fantastic spot for your SAM site. There's a niche little spot on the right hand side, but they just fit right. This will protect them from incendiary 5.56 and fire arrows and not very well placed incend rockets. They're not unkillable, but no SAM site is. So this is the best protection you can give them, and this will give you maximum MLRS protection with a medium amount of heli protection. People can still heli onto the roof, but your turrets should take care of them. It's more MLRS that you're worried about. Let's finish up the roof with a couple more roofs. Give you a bit more protection from laddering and allow you to get some better angles on people. And then let's go up and let's do some turret pods. So you'll want a turret pod here. This will cover most of the roof. And this doubles as a windmill as well. So you can just keep building this up with frames. It has pretty good stability. And then when you get to a height that you think is alright, you build 2 triangles on it. And you can place your windmill on these. Now you want to place the windmill standing on the frame that has the stability that you're going to keep, looking towards the other frame. And what you want is you want the middle of the windmill to be on your side. As long as that little power box is placed on your triangle, as soon as the other one goes, the windmill will be fine. It will just float there. And that's pretty much it for the roof. There's not much more you need to add. I would definitely add a little shelf for the turrets, so that you can have 2 turrets in each pod. And I would also add cell doors. And for the rest of the video, I'll pretty much just be filling out and decorating all of the turret positions and also the loot room. But that's the basis of the build. You also want to make sure that you fill the interior with frames. So now I'll just do a little quick montage of me filling everything else out.